Today in our /malicious compliance. Coworkers not doing their part. Boss caught in the middle. This was some years ago when I worked for a small restaurant. I started out as a dishwasher and eventually moved to prep cook. Ended up working there for a couple years. There came a point where during the busy summer months, as a dishwasher still I would be busting my butt to make sure everything ran as smooth as possible throughout the restaurant. I'd help the servers with their tables. I'd of course clear tables as much as possible. I'd help the kitchen staff restock things as needed and so on. The dishes of course were the job, but only so far as we could stretch things before closing time, after which the remaining dishes and any other things that needed doing throughout the restaurant would get taken care of. Sometimes this took some time to complete when the restaurant was super busy and things backed up really bad throughout the place. The thing is, though, that while there are customers, serving the customers' food to them is the priority. So when push comes to shove, the thing that falls behind the most is always the dishes, my job. This led to a string of days more than a week, where I was stuck in the restaurant an hour or more after close just getting all the dishes clean for the next day. One day was particularly bad when I was there until 1 a.m., several hours after close. This was partly because it had been a really busy day, but also some customers staying late and so on. My boss told me the next day, "I've noticed you've been closing later and later, and yesterday you closed way past midnight. What's the deal? I need you to close faster." I explained to her how the dishwashing took second place to the priority of serving people food. So, the kitchen staff always got my help when they needed it, and the serving staff always got my help when they needed it too. However, at the end of the night, when the last customer left, the servers would finish resetting the tables and the kitchen staff would finish restocking things for the next morning, and, naturally, the cleaning that needed doing all around would happen, but then everyone else left and I was stuck there washing dishes on my own with nobody helping me. Well, that's your job. You should be able to handle it. Yes, but I helped them do their jobs, so at the end of the day, when they refinished, they should help me with mine, or else I'm going to be here longer, and that's just how it is. All right. Well, I need you to leave earlier, so figure it out. I did figure it out. The next day, as my manager liked to call it, we were slamma-jamma, crazy busy. Dishes were even more backed up than ever before. At closing time, I told the serving staff and kitchen staff that I needed some help cleaning this up because the manager wanted me out of there earlier. They said, "Well, you can manage." And off they went. I decided I'd had enough. I left about 45 minutes worth of dishes uncleaned and took off at the appropriate time I was supposed to be done by. The next morning, the kitchen staff were quite upset because they obviously didn't have things all finished and had to do some extra work to get it clean. My manager called me into the office to have a talk when I arrived later that day. "So, you left early and left a bunch of stuff dirty in the dish pit. Is this going to be a problem? You told me to leave on time." I did the best I could. The options were stay later or leave on time and leave some dirty dishes behind for the morning staff to clean. You can't get those dishes done in that much time. The dishwasher has a limited capacity, so that's the limit for some dishes. But pots and pans, things the kitchen uses mostly, can be hand-washed more easily. The same is true for some of the serving staff's stuff. In fact, a lot of that has to be hand-washed regardless. Here's what happens. First, the front end gets slammed. Then the kitchen gets slammed, making the orders for all those customers. Then the customers leave and the serving staff do their thing and the kitchen starts to catch up. Then the kitchen gets caught up and the serving staff starts heading home. Then the kitchen staff heads home and it's just me in the back still dealing with the original big slam of customers we had earlier in the day. Here's what I can do. I can refuse to help them and 100% focus on making sure dishes are done. That may mean you need to have more serving staff come in to handle the load, since I won't be helping. That also might you may need to have the line cooks and or prep cooks stay longer to make sure the kitchen is kept up to pace through the busiest hours. If I'm just sticking to clearing tables and washing dishes, I can keep up and maintain everything fine. Well, do that. The rest of the restaurant didn't last a day before they were demanding my help during their rush times, clearly upset, and it was only a day after that the manager instructed them they needed to help me with washing dishes, and we'd all leave together at the end of the night. They finally started to understand when they tried to help me get those dishes done. It changed everything. I, of course, returned the favor and all was well. Not long after that, I moved over to handling prep work, slicing and dicing, and all that kind of thing. I also started handling food deliveries and so on. It was nice and I got paid more, but I found out pretty quick that the faster I did my job, less I got paid. Unlike with dishes, there was a bit more fixed amount of work to do, so I was happy to help the dishwashers. I got so fast at one point that in the middle of summer rush days I'd just hang out in the dish pit, and the dishwasher would have it so easy. The manager tried to have me do both dishwashing and prep work, because otherwise I lost too many hours. But that situation and how I got past it is another non-malicious compliance story. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, smash the bell, and whatever else our YouTube overlords require nowadays.